Okay, we're gonna start. We're gonna open OmniFuturists meeting October 7, 2023. Thank you for being here today because we are all so busy in what we call the whirlwind, but we take time and we're here. So again, we really appreciate your presence. And if you're hearing, if you're listening, thank you also for being here. We're gonna have brief welcome from our team members, Mike, Alora. Then we're gonna connect a little bit regarding the word of the day. Every time we do a session like this, we're going to activate some of the wordings in our vocabulary. Then we're going to connect about the logistics on the new format with Alora and myself. We're going to talk about some housekeeping changes with the intention of continuous improvement. Then we're going to dive into the author guidelines to review the author's chapters. Then we will review Mike and Maura, and comments and feedback will be welcome at any time as well. So again, we're going to be buckling up and starting with this. Mike, please go ahead for introductory words and welcome.
Hello, everyone. So I'm going to just go over a couple real big points real quick and then turn everything back over to the people presenting. Today, we're going to have a couple chapters presented. Mike Saenz and Maura Abad are going to talk about their chapters for our book. We hope to have 2 more chapters in early November. That would be from David Wood and Daniel Tweed. We'll have to see how they do. The deadline for all the chapters, all the writing, is Halloween. Just as a reminder, end of this month is the deadline. And then our managing editor, Alan Crowley, needs a chance to be able to prepare. So that's a firm deadline. We're not going to relax on that. We've been doing a cull of the membership, and we're almost complete. What I was wanting to do is see with some of the more inactive members if there were some that were just completely unresponsive. And I think we're going to only end up with 2 members that probably are going to be culled. There was a particular reason I asked for this is I suspect that in early next year, I'm going to propose that this become a formal business and we would all be members of have the opportunity to be members of this business. And I didn't want to have any particular deadwood folks who were not going to do anything or be at any meetings as part of that business. So we'll talk about that next year. And then just a sad note on a couple of, we're such a small group, but we've got 2 folks who've been hospitalized very recently. Rusty Burridge had a brain aneurysm and is unresponsive in the hospital. And I just found out that Luis, of all people, Luis Arroyo is hospitalized right now. He has come down with MS, and he's got a pretty good, positive attitude towards it, and just keep our friends in your thoughts. But Luis says he wished he could be here, but he can't. And, Rusty was a brand new member. We just put through the new interview process. We're going to be interviewing new members as part of the admittance into this invitation-only group. So, it's very sad for me because I was planning, if you don't know Rusty, he did a podcast with David Wood for quite a while called Humanity Unshackled. And Rusty had invited me to take David Wood's spot on that podcast. And so he and I have been recording a little bit on a series for Humanity Unshackled. And unfortunately, that's going to have to stop. But anyway, those are my remarks for today. I thank you all for your time, your energy, and the focus through the end of the year has to be 100% on the book. Okay, so Maura, take it back.
Thank you for the updates, and certainly our thoughts are with them. I will connect with Luis. I'll send him a message whenever he can see it. These kind of news, personally, I take them in the importance of how can we do faster advancements with technology, right? So that's the first thing that comes to my head. 2023, and we're dealing with these diseases. So definitely, please, let's keep them in our thoughts and in positive thoughts. Alora, welcome. Anything that you want to greet the team today?
I'm swimming in unfamiliar waters right now because I'm at a relative's house and I'm doing this on my phone and I haven't done Zoom on my phone in a while, so I apologize. I won't really be doing moderating. But just a reminder, there in the reactions tab, there's hand up, and then when you're done, lower your hand. And I think that's all. Yeah, you can keep going.
Thank you, Laura. And we have your back here, so all good. Thank you for participating. Like Mike said, it's a holiday and you're taking the time, so we really appreciate your presence today. In one of our last conversations, we agreed, let's put this forward and see how is the reaction of all of you. But I think it's important that we continuously understand and educate ourselves. So the word of the day today is artificial intelligence. Resource came from the Chat GPT. AI refers to the simulation of human intelligence in machines that are programmed to think and learn like humans. It involves various techniques such as machine learning, natural language processing, computer vision, and more to enable machines to perform tasks that typically require human intelligence. So if you want to participate with the word of the day, please feel free to let us know what is that word that you want other team members to activate and get to know it. Well, with the situation, I think we did connected and we have been doing the change management, but it's about also reinforcement. So today we want to let you know the meetings are going to be run in the Zoom platform. Laura, if you want to talk, just a reminder, the way that you are sending the invitations, we want to just make sure that everybody understands the new way, which for all of us is a better way in communication. It's about simplicity. It's about that you have the information at your fingertips. So the change is going to allow you to get even faster information. So with that being said, Laura, do you want to say anything regarding the invitations, etc.?
Yeah, I made it so that you have to put a little bit of calories in. If you're part of our group, you're part of the Discord, you're part of a Google group, and you can find it on the calendar for the OmniFuturists Google group. So I've made these links accessible. Moving over to the new Discord server, I've pasted them, but I've even went and put some stuff in the old one too. So it should be easy for you to find all of these resources. So it's just that because my daughter is coming, so sorry if you hear some toddler noises. Yeah. So instead of me emailing everybody an invitation, I don't want to risk a privacy breach, and I don't want to have to do blind carbon copy every time. So it just goes out. That said, we're a private group, so everyone should be okay with their email being shown to each other. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. But anyway, this is streamlined. And it's easy for me to just put the information there. And then if you want it, you can go get it. I don't want to send out a million emails. I just don't. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Laura. And then continuing with Zoom, you're going to get familiar if you have used it or if this is your first time. You're going to have different features to take a look. There is even that we can write and that you can see what we're writing or drawing. You're going to see the participants displayed. You are going to see the video. When you click at yourself, you're going to find the mute and then that 3 dots. I love the 3 dots because you see all the way rename. So right now I have a smile. You can place anything, laugh. You see, and now I rename myself. So there is a lot of great activities here that allow communication and being engaged in the conversation, which virtually, it's not the same that being in person, but this platform is really very complete, I will say. The other thing is that it's going to allow you to add different backgrounds. Feel free to do so as well. And you can stop the video, mute yourself, choose your avatar. So explore it as well, because there are many, many things that we can review together with the Zoom platform. Now, we want to touch base about the Discord reorganization. Laura, let's talk about that.
I reorganized the Discord. It's beautiful. I hope you guys like it. There was way too many channels in the last one, and I am a Patreon for a YouTuber that I follow, and I saw his Discord and I was like, this is the format I want to use. This is wonderful. So I just kind of use that as an inspiration and built ours. And I hope that we can compile some good links in there, make it look like a place where we want to hang out, you know? That's it. It's just aesthetics.
That's right. And making it a place that everybody wants to be together. So the why now? Well, because it is time. Why not? Will be my question back, because it's time to get more organized. It's quality over quantity. I will say we're a big group in the sense of our knowledge and our cooperation and collaboration. So it is important that we continue bringing along best practices. That's part of what we do. And we're doing this change not only for the group itself, but for each of us that are part of the group. Each of the humans with the simplicity part, that's what we're looking for. And overview on the general channels, just a reminder, the Google Calendar, the Zoom, we have the Google Drive, we have Discord. Please let us know if you're having any situations. Feel free to email Alora and myself so we can assist you. I'm going to make a pause for any comments from any of the team members. You can go to reactions, and in reactions, you can raise hand, proceed thumbs up, or we are all good. Okay, I see everybody's okay. Perfect. Well, you know, with part of the reorganization and get all together, I want to say that we place a new thought on how can authors talk about their chapter. But I do want to say, especially for you, Mike, that will be today with us, if you happen to have any of these, great. If no, it's okay as well, because we are learning, it's a process, so we don't expect this to be activated tomorrow. So I just want to make sure that you know that. But of course, the way that we want to make it happen, as you see, is more visual, more train of thought, more if someone comes in the conversation, what are they talking about? The person can see what we're doing. So again, everything with the aspect of collaboration and communication. And with that being said, Mike, this is your time. Please do let us know in case that you want to share a screen so we can stop from our side. But we're really honored to have you, and we cannot wait to hear about your chapter.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Yeah, I do have a little Google slideshow, so I'm happy to share that. Let's see.
We just gave you the hosting for you right now, so you will be able to share.
All right, and let's see, I can't see you guys, but that's okay. You can see my screen, right?
Not yet.
Oh, no, okay. Well, let me change back what I was just doing. Hold on, let's see. I promised I've used this before. Let's see.
And take your time, okay? So yes, take it slow. There we go. It's gonna be showing now. Let's say we see the crisis quick summary.
Excellent. Okay, so thanks again, guys. And yeah, it is a quick summary. Well, by necessity, it's a quick summary because we only have 15 minutes, right? But I appreciate you guys having me, and you know, knowing that I probably have a different view than a lot of the guys here. It's welcoming, so I appreciate that. All right, so like many people here, I think there is a crisis. The crisis is a crisis of humanity. In fact, I think it's a crisis in the humanities. My little quote to get us thinking in the right way is from Sidney Harris. The real danger is not that computers will begin to think like men, but that men will begin to think like computers. What do I mean by that? Well, if we go back in history a little bit, the humanities has never been especially good about defining what the heck it was trying to do. But it went into kind of crisis mode after the scientific revolution. If you go read in the late 1800s and 1900s, there's a lot of writers trying to define what the humanities is about. They see great benefits coming from the natural sciences. And one, you know, might wonder at that time, like, well, what great benefits are we getting from the humanities? And I think where we've gone wrong is in the humanities, we have tried to adopt and really just what we do is we ape the outside form of the natural sciences. So you'll see, you know, any chance to throw out statistics and you know, to quantify things that in the past had not been quantified in the humanities. And as a result, I think we have a loss of objectivity. And the irony is that it's in the name of objectivity. So for instance, if we look at, say, in education, a multiple choice test, the multiple choice test is considered objective, at least in the grading process, as opposed to what, the essay, where the teacher has to use his mind and think about what the student is doing. And I think that's the key difference between the two. Everywhere you go today, when we talk about objectivity, what we're doing is we're trying to eliminate bias. And by doing that, since the common way to think is that all human thinking has bias, is that we just try to take away the human mind, the human judgment from the process at all. And then we call it objective. My take on objectivity is that that's a mistake. What objective should mean is taking into account all of the relevant information in any given situation. And that includes, you know, man's mind and how it works and all of those things. So the crisis, I think, fundamentally is in education. And I will show here in just a minute how I think that's going to apply to the economic singularity, automation, and AI, and all those things. So what do we get in education? Today in education, it's primarily about vocation. It's primarily about, you know, why do you need an education? Well, it's to get a job of a particular kind. And we have what I call the backpack model of knowledge, right? I, as a teacher, communicate a whole bunch of knowledge to the student. He throws that knowledge into a backpack, and presumably years later, he'll need that knowledge and he'll take it out of the backpack and put it to use. You know, this is exemplified by the question that students always ask and that teachers try to answer mistakenly, I think. When am I ever going to use this? As if that's the whole point, right? Is that I'm going to give you knowledge today that 20 or 30 or 40 years from now you're going to need and remember and use. The result is we have a kind of narrowness in education, a narrowness in thinking. Because we focus on just today, what's needed today for your vocation, we become kind of slaves intellectually, slaves to our time period, to our time. It's a great quote from Woodrow Wilson, of all people. He says, the merely trained individual, trained for a job, so what he means, is a tool and not a mind. He's in economic danger because society needs minds and not merely tools. This is my contention, is that we go into education for the purpose of becoming a tool, a means to achieve a particular kind of job. So how do we get around this? How does one promote the humanities and save objectivity? I think we need to redefine objectivity and embrace the humanity, the mind, the judgment in that. I think we can do that through, when we're teaching, always focus on the fact that whatever it is we're teaching, even the natural sciences, are really, you know, stories of mankind's achievement, mankind's innovation. Always take the wide context. Never answer that question, when am I going to need this? That's not the point, right? What we're trying to do is have a cultivated mind. William James hits it pretty well, if you guys don't mind me reading. He says, geology, economics, mechanics are humanities. They are humanities when taught with reference to the successive achievements of the geniuses to which these sciences owe their being. It's telling it as a story, right? Not taught thus. Literature remains grammar, art a catalog, history a list of dates, and natural science a sheet of formulas and weights and measures. And I would contend that that's the way they are treated today, even the natural sciences. He later says, the sifting of human creations. Nothing less than this is what we ought to mean by the humanities. In other words, going back to the history of mankind and mankind even in the moment, and presenting this information. If you're going to present it objectively, you have to present it as a achievement of innovation, of creativity. Otherwise, I think we let the knowledge of humanity die in the graves of our grandfathers. So what's going to be the result if we can manage to do this? I think the alternate model of education, as opposed to vocation, is just mental cultivation. Arthur Bestor is a great educator from the 50s, talks about this. He refers to it, of course, as a liberal education. He says the liberal disciplines are not chunks of frozen facts. In fact, they're not facts at all. They are the powerful tools and engines by which a man discovers and handles facts. Without the scientific and scholarly disciplines, he is helpless in the presence of facts. With them, he can command facts and make them serve his varied purposes. With them, he can transcend facts and deal as a rational man with the great questions of meaning and value. Liberal education is essentially the communication of intellectual power. We want the student to become a successful, happy, flourishing adult. If man's mind is his means to achieve that, then he needs a cultivated mind, not a mind that trains him as a tool to do a particular job. Jacques Barzun, history educator, speaks to this too. He says, all knowledge may be put to two uses. It may serve an immediate and tangible purpose by guiding technical action, which I think is what education tries to do today. And it may serve more permanent but less visible ends by guiding thought and conduct at large. One is know-how, the other is cultivation. So when am I ever going to use this? Well, are you going to use a cultivated mind? A mind that has intellectual power that can address new situations with confidence, then everything, right, is going to point towards that. Bestor, again, addresses this and says, as he's arguing that cultivation is the key, not know-how, points out that the West was not settled by men and women who had taken courses in how to be a pioneer. All right, so finally, the threat of automation and AI. What is this threat? Automation and AI is essentially just better tools, more wealth. Why is this a problem? Well, it's a problem if you only consider yourself as a tool. If my education in my mind is so geared to only be a tool to do this particular task, then as soon as someone innovates a better tool, then now what am I going to do, right? This, I think, underlies a view of humanity. If you see man as a potentially outdated tool, then the economic singularity is an absolute disaster. But if you see man as a creative, innovative, productive being, then no, this is going to be great. I think of a friend of mine. Do I have time for this? I'm going to skip this story. If you guys are interested in it, you can ask later. If you have the cultivated mind idea and you look ahead to automation and AI, then you just see it as better tools, more wealth. Well, heck yeah. This makes it easier to produce. So much of what we do for a living now doesn't allow for what Max Eastman refers to as the fever of individuation, right? When I was working in a metal shop, running a machine, even when I was waiting on tables, I didn't feel like I was actualizing myself as an individual. I'm happy for those jobs to be done by machines. If those jobs are done by machines, those jobs are still being done. The jobs aren't lost. We just now have the opportunity to do other things. And if you're a creative, innovative, cultivated mind, then that's an opportunity. That's not a problem. If you guys ever are into physics at all, there's a thing called the constructal law in thermodynamics by Adrian Bejan. And he claims that this applies to essentially everything in nature. He says, for a finite sized system to persist in time, in other words, for it to live, it must evolve in such a way that it provides easier access to the imposed currents that flow through it. The design must be such so that things can flow. Now, if you believe, as I do, that man's mind is his means to survival and happiness, that creativity and productivity is an essential part of that, then any kind of solution to the economic singularity that takes that away or disincentivizes that is going to lead not towards further life, but towards death, towards stagnation. Right? Now, I imagine people saying, but Mike, how are these difficulties going to be resolved in the future if, AI and automation has such a change? Of course, I don't know, right? But, if I did know ahead of time, it really wouldn't be that creative, would it? The idea of the cultivated mind is that when that situation hits, you have intellectual power, and you can adjust to those things, and you can see them as opportunities even. And fundamentally, this is the choice I see, right? There's mind, there's creativity, there's life. These things are all linked together. And freedom, right? Freedom of movement, freedom of thought. It's not the government that pushes us to produce values and trade. It's life itself. This is part of the human condition, right? So you either have that or forced stagnation and death. We really want to set the bar high if we're going to restructure the government. That's a pretty serious deal. So, I'm leery of us being quick to do this. I know it's about time. This is my last point. The Austrian Economic School, has an argument that, for the most part, I don't think it's fundamental, but it's real, that, people making decisions for their own lives, for the things that they want and need and desire and want to produce and want to consume, is always going to be more effective than somebody at the top who's trying to make all of those millions and billions of decisions for those people. And, J.J. Gibson, the great perceptual psychologist, he points to this too in his own way. He addresses things like, I don't know if you guys have seen in these perceptual psychology books, they'll show like a wheel with spokes, and some of the spokes are missing. And if you hold your eye in a particular way, exactly, 5 inches from the book, and you close the other eye, then it looks like the spokes aren't missing. It's an illusion, right? But Gibson points out that the eye is not always held 4 inches from whatever it's looking at. In fact, there are 2 eyes, and they focus, and they move back and forth, and they're on a head that swivels, and they're on a body that moves around too. That we can't, in this very moment, one person have the answer to the difficulties of an economic singularity is not something I think to worry about. Because in fact, you know, we all have eyes, we all have minds, and there's 7 billion of them, and we have, you know, different experiences. And these people, even if the education was poor, are beings that are potentially, at least, creative, innovative, and have intellectual power. All right, I think I've gone over a little bit, but that's my take.
Thank you, Mike, for respecting the guidelines and sticking to time. At this moment, Mike, we're going to proceed with some comments and also questions. Let's start with Mike.
Mike, that was brilliant. Thank you very much. This is exactly what I was hoping for. Well, exceeded all my expectations, I'll say that. You may not know this, but I was a dues-paying member of the Libertarian Party for several decades. I know Hayek, and I understand what you're portraying, and I cannot wait to read your chapter. So that was very interesting. Thank you very much for saying that. I think that one of the concerns I have with that approach is going to be that I think we all know that everything you said is correct. The practical aspect, though, is many people don't have interest in using imagination and their abilities in order to forge their way through the world. And I think the concern here is that the folks who have not learned any of those capabilities are going to be left in the dust and facing, let's say, starvation if they can't compete with an AI. And so I really like where you're going with this. It's very positive and very hopeful, and I like it. But I think that there are going to be literally millions of people left in the dust by this. So again, thank you, Mike, for your filling in part of the circle of the diversity of opinions on how to approach this. And we are missing that viewpoint, the libertarian, the Austrian school, the libertarian, I could sometimes say the Ayn Rand version of how to approach this problem. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. I consider myself an objective, so I won't take offense to that. That's
Thank you, Mike. Laura, please go ahead.
I'm trying to remember what Ayn Rand said about objectivity. I know it was A is A, or A equals A.
Right. That's the start.
Give me a sec. Ready? When you were talking about objectivity, I got the feeling that you were explaining that there's a difference between judgment versus measurement. Is that right?
I think, yes. I mean, I see measurement, and I mean, I haven't thought it through completely. I think I want to say that judgment is a species of measurement.
Okay. What I see as objective is that there's always perspective, and as it gets wider, you see more vectors. But even if you're standing in a spot seeing more vectors, if you have multiple tools or people who are, you know, say counting seconds of an event or whatever, you'll always get multiple results. And so objectivity is always this compromise, like an average, like, and then whoever wins the right to push their data set wields truth. And that's the power that moves people's decisions in the world. And the other thought that I had while listening to you was, if we're merely tools, would we reach positivism's goal? Because that came out of the humanities. Will actualization come faster if we organize society better first? Can we get more out of the humanities once we get through this stage of being a better tool? And then I would just like to counter your point about creativity by saying that creativity, although I'm an abstract thinker, it can be starting from a goal where You can know what you want something to look like in your head, and you know what the end will be. Because for some people, the act of creation is only lacking the means of manifesting it, and that is the power of a 3D printer. So that's all that I'd like to say. Thank you for presenting.
I gotcha. Thank you. Thank you. Is it okay to answer?
Yes, please, Mike, go ahead. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I can answer them all, but my focus certainly, and you know, I haven't finished the chapter yet, but you know, I address the people that you know, I've always been a truck driver, I don't want to be anything else, you know, that kind of thing. As far as society being organized differently, and you know, I would point out, I consider this to be a crisis. It's just, I think the crisis is in the wrong place. You know, I think if our way of thinking about education and objectivity is different, then we don't have those millions of people. So, you know, the other thing is that I'm always going to lean on the individual having to accomplish his own happiness, not because, you know, I just don't think it's possible for somebody else to do it for you. So I think a better governing system could create the easiest flow, right, for the individual to achieve his own happiness, mostly by protecting him from other people and by not getting in the way itself, right? But you know, in the end, you know, my focus is always going to be like, well, okay, that you know, the system could be better, but you know, as long as we're mostly free, my focus wants to be on, well, what does the individual have to do in order to be happy? And you know what, I think that's where the discussion needs to be more, because if that's fuzzy in your head, then describing how we organize ourselves socially is kind of beyond the point at that time. You know, I don't think we organize ourselves socially, governmentally, so that we can kind of push or force people to be happy. I think we organize ourselves so that people have the best chance to accomplish that themselves. Okay, I'm babbling now. I'll shut it.
Hey, thank you, Mike. Mike, thank you for sharing. Really powerful. I want to point some things you place in where I wrote, knowledge of humanity die in the graveyards of our grandfathers. I want to tell you how impactful it is to me, because in past times, tribes, etc., the oldest person was at the core. Unfortunately, in many places now, you very well know, even parents are not respected, right? So I like that point of view of bringing back the importance of the people in our lives. You said education as mental cultivation. I want to invite you to perhaps add somewhere mental freedom is also freedom. At some point, right? To me, from the 17 United Nations goals, education is key. So when you're talking about education, you already got my attention. Like, this is what is needed, right? So how can we get more people interested about it? The other thing is that the context is everything. So I don't know if you want to add perhaps in that chapter, the context, coming from the context, because it is important perhaps that you touch base about context. And then quickly for Alora, tell me, Alora, if I got you well or no, did you mention something regarding that people that have the facts kind of lead when we talk about objective matters? Did you say that? Just making sure.
I said that the people who win the right. So in a capitalist system, there are ways that you win the right to push your data set. It's marketing, it's advertising, it's manufactured, right? And I mean, that's just the way the world works. So yeah, when you have certain companies that are rewriting textbooks every year, and they're the ones that distribute that is the print, since the printing press, and that's what I mean about power. That is real power that moves people's decisions, because that's what everybody builds up their reality from. So.
Okay, got it. Yeah, the only point that I want to say on that one is that, plan A and plan B. You very well know all the social media and the TV channels, and they're presenting the facts. But at the end, the winner is going to be who presents the information the better. I think we're on the same agreement, because we're going to have the same, perhaps, data sets, but the winner is going to be who sells him or herself better. And we have examples talking about United States and past candidates that they have sold themselves in a different way. And in reality, even the data was not even there. And they went even through that, liking people, connecting with people. I just want to make sure. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's really easy to slander someone these days. It's really easy. So.
Yeah, definitely. Mike, again, thank you very much. If you don't mind, you look at my name. It's going to be 3 dots. If you can give me back the meeting and make me the organizer, that will be great.
Absolutely.
Okay, any other comments, any other questions?
Yes, I just want to say, I'm sorry, I will change the settings on the web portal so that we can just do screen sharing next time without having to do this. I'm really sorry.
That's okay. Thank you, Laura. We live, we learn, so all good.
Thanks. So
Yeah, it's the 3 dots. You need to click your mouse, and then the 3 dots are gonna show up next to me in my square to the right side. There you go. Thank you, Mike.
Maura, before you start, real quick, Mike, because you've come in so late, I truly appreciate your work on the chapter. So don't misunderstand the question. Are you close to completing your chapter? You think Halloween is enough time?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great. That was it. Thank you, Maura. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mike. Okay, we buckle up a little bit here. So, Maura Abad, nice to meet you and nice to reconnect. My pen name is going to be Sparkplug. It was given to me by David Shoemaker in Arizona, which I love it. And I think I identify myself with it. So last time, I read some poems. I'm not going to read them. This PowerPoint is going to be given to you. I just want to share, I am presenting 8 of them, many of them by myself, many of them with the support of Chat GPT. And what I did is I placed them for all of you to read them and what I wanted to express. So that's what you're going to see: Age of Enlightenment, Data, Empathetic Robot, Fear Not, The Art of Peace, The Future is Now, the OmniFuturists, Omnis Futurae Visiones. So there are 8 of them. Feel free to review them at your own pace. Now, with the title of the chapter, in this case, I chose my topic, my title called Pathways. This is something that I'm placing for the group to approve, especially Alan, our editor-in-chief. But what I want to tell him is that I'm having a lot of fun. So even if it works or doesn't work, I already won because I'm having fun. And I think it is important at the end of it all. So what do I want to express with this? The awareness, the questioning that when we are who we are and we make decisions, the choices make an impact and they do matter. And they can alter things, benefit us, improve, or even damage if we don't have the right path or the right decision. But at the same time, I think I also want to highlight the importance of continuous improvement as beings, understanding one another, the empathy, the knowledge, the curiosity. I also want to shine light on the wake-up call about where we are right now and embracing technology. That's kind of on the chapter pathway, what I want the audience to connect with all these different topics. I will say that the summarizing of the chapter on pathways is going to be 3 areas. It's called the beginning, the middle, and what's next. Correct? There is no end. So in this case, in this reality, has been 313 years have passed in the galaxy since people with special talents have been extracted out of Earth every so often. And we continue doing this. Earth continues in the same state, but this new planet is called harmony. So the thing in harmony is that animals speak the language, they can live without water, And there's 7 characters that in the chapter 1 we're gonna be displaying, which are very, very smart. Chapter 1 is touching base about the characters. Part of the characters are the perfect twins. Let me introduce you to the 13 years old, born in the United States, boy and girl, Alpha and Omega. What are their main skills? They're creative, they're multicultural, they speak 13 languages each, that means 26 total, and they're very, very people-oriented. We have another character called the Empathetic Knight. That's his name and last name. He was born in Denmark, he's 45 years old, and he has high empathy and emotional intelligence. We have Lady Rosé, born in France, 45 years old. She's analytical, uses time management, all the leadership styles when situation requires. She's mainly a collaborative leader. Silence, she lacks movement in her legs. She's in a wheelchair, 30 years old, originally from Japan. Her skills are problem solving, active listening, and conflict resolution. We have the ostrich, born in South Africa, 20 years old, by the way, time span is 30. And his skills are that it runs extremely fast. And raven from Canada, 5 years old, the max lifespan is 10 to 15 years. The skills are persuasion, critical thinking, and very adaptable. So chapter 1 is going to be touching base about each of the characteristics of the characters. As you can see, empathy, curiosity, decision-making are skill sets of humans. Now in the middle, on a normal day, our characters are keeping busy doing activities, and they hear a big sound outside. And when they go outside, they found a spaceship, and they come out with different shapes and numbers, and they all go out like, what's going on? And then a big voice in the universe loud says, now, welcome to Planet Harmony. We want to introduce you to artificial intelligence, machine learning, and Chat GPT. The 3 of them get out of this cool spaceship full of numbers and shapes. And each of the characters that you already met are going to be introduced to these 3 new characters in a scene. And basically the middle of the chapters is the indicator and the what and the why and the how if these characters are going to affect or benefit each of their lives. As I mentioned before, Alpha and Omega, they speak 26 languages. ChatGPT speaks 40. So how are they feeling about it? So chapter number 2 in the middle is the situation, the struggles, the collaboration, the empathy they are feeling for the new 3 things that have shown up in their lives. The last I will say, chapter in the pathways is the what's next, because there is no end. In this chapter, we're going to bring the struggles, the good and the bad of technology, the criticality of some of the characters will need to face and choose, because one of the things that this new spaceship has brought to them is that there are 2 ways and only 2 ways. The planet is going to be called Synergy as a new planet with all together, or they're all going to go together and that no one is gonna exist. So basically in this chapter, what I'm planning to do is, I think I'm gonna have one of the twins going to completely that they don't want to accept it, and the other twin wanted to accept it. So I'm gonna present some of the characters that are gonna go with the technology, and some of the characters are gonna be completely scared and running away from technology. So that's kind of idea on the creation of awareness, the knowledge. I'm going to be touching base on the humanity piece with the skill set and how can enhance them in our lives. So with that being said, I'm going to make a pause and I'm ready for questions or comments. Go ahead, Mike.
I mostly want to have a preview of what Ostrich is going to do. I think this is an interesting approach. You're taking a bunch of characters and you're having them all say what is going to happen. And I'm always slow on this sort of stuff. If you talk in parables, I'm an engineer. I'm very literal. Mike Saenz is going to be very disappointed with my preoccupation with facts and not really thinking data. So you're using these characters to take this idea of the oncoming economic singularity, artificial intelligence, machine intelligence, and saying how each of them react to that is kind of like, it's very similar in a sense to what Alan Crowley is taking, but from a different perspective of how to prepare for the economic singularity. And both of you are thinking about, okay, for the people who don't know what's coming, this is maybe a way of explaining to them in a sense that they can absorb easily. This is what's happening. Because as much as I have to hear more of Laura and Mike talking about their interpretations of the philosophy. Okay, that conversation was wonderful. This is a completely different perspective. So I'm sorry for all of that preamble. Very typical of me. Would you please tell me what Ostrich is going to be saying to this?
Yeah, thank you, Mike. And you know, the way that I'm coming from is because I read Who Moved My Cheese. That book changed my life. So when
let me stop you. I'm sorry. You know, when I was on the space station program, and then suddenly it got restructured by Clinton because it was an all-American Ronald Reagan space station, and he said, okay, Clinton says we're gonna buy a bunch of stuff from the Russians. And so we're on the space station program, a bunch of really high-powered engineers, and they said, you know, some of you guys are gonna have to find new jobs. And they had us, at work, they made us read Who Moved My Cheese. Sorry, please continue.
Yeah, no, when I read Move My Cheese, I saw myself in all the characters, and at the end I made a decision. I don't want to be like the human that stay there. I want to be like the mice and the smartest mouse. That's what I declare right there. So with that influence, what I'm bringing here to the picture is that I want, first of all, people to choose their favorite character. So for many will be Alpha, for another ones will be the ostrich, like you felt represented by the ostrich. And then each of the characters are going to be in the yay or in the nay with technology. They're going to be making good friends with artificial intelligence, hating Chat GPT. You know, it's going to be a very interesting, I will say, picture until all of them, a few are going to be together with the technology, a few hesitating, and other ones running away. Ostrich, just to give you some information, he runs really fast. That means that is a very interesting piece because can run faster to the technology or very slow. So it's kind of like that piece, and I'll leave you with that because I continue writing that. And if you ask me, are you going to be finished by October 31st? I'd rather say I will try my best because like you said, it's the next book.
Yeah, and I think you're going to do fine, knowing how hard you work. But I thought for sure, okay, you're talking about run extremely fast. Anytime somebody talks about an ostrich with me, I think about him putting his head into the sand. And I thought that was going to be his reaction to this is, nothing's going to change. I'm going to be fine. My job will always be there. I'll have a new car next year. Okay, thank you.
With ostrich, my plan, if you ask me about my plan with ostrich, yes, with ostrich, I'm planning that it's going to run, but then later it's going to find out why am I here. So he's going to come alone. That's what I can tell you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Alora, please.
Hi. Yeah, that sounds really fun. I just wanted to say that when I was listening to the different characters, and because they're all from different places, it just reminded me of this show that I watched called Sense8. It was made by the Wachowski sisters, the ones who did The Matrix, and it was just about these 8 people from around the world who developed perfect empathy with each other so they could communicate telepathically and feel each other's emotions. And that was really cool because then you get to see their journey figuring all that out. But I think that stories like this are great because they build empathy in the reader. There was one character in that show who is from Africa, and he was he's in Africa during the show, and he's a bus driver, so you get to see like the aspects of the life there, and it was just really cool for me to see that. So yeah, I wish you luck in your writings. I can't wait to read it.
Thank you, Laura. And you know, imagine that this could be read to your children, right? So it's a perspective more from different angles. And at the end of it all, we're all kids. That's why Disney World is so successful. We are all children at the end of it all. Whatever happened to us when we were kids, it goes triplifying through our lives, right? So I'm making some approaches different out of the box, telling the story in a different way, but that people feel identified with the characters and that they think deeply. Okay, well, Ostrich was away, scared, but then Ostrich came. So why I cannot be like Ostrich? That's an example. But everybody will choose their character, and there is no judgment on the decision they want to make. It's just what is going to be in the planet. Now, the question is, what is going to happen with each of them is giving the reader kind of like what's going to be in the next one. So, you know, this could be even serious. There could be a piece now, a piece later. So it could be pretty good. But thank you again. I'm having a lot of fun. And for you, Alan, that will be listening, please, if you happen to have any more questions, let me know for any other clarification. So with that being said, we are going to make a pause now, and we're going to proceed with any Q&A, questions and answers, or notes or feedbacks from each of you. We're going to start with you, Art Ramon. Any comments, any questions, any suggestions for the next meeting that we should address?
Yeah, I heard that there was a deadline of October 30th. That's the first I'm hearing it.
Yeah, 31st to be precise, October 31st.
Yeah, actually, the deadline for the chapters was actually last month.
Okay.
And what we did, here's what happened is we got to have David Wood. And as you know, David Wood is on a book tour for The Death of Death. And so what we did is I contacted him and said, can you complete the chapter that you started by October 31st? I just gave him that option. I know how busy he is. Please, can you? And he said yes. And so where these tend to come up is when Ellen has his authors read and critique. Usually at the beginning, we talk about status, people's status. Are they done? Have they completed it? And so, for example, I've turned mine in. I have some minor typos to clean up. I think Luis is done. And so we've been talking to different people about, can you complete by October 31st? And the reason we bring this up each time we get together is last year, it was like pulling teeth to get everybody to turn in there. So I'm familiar with this problem of we'll say it, but it isn't registering. The point of this is to give Alan some time to try to collect and format the entire book. Okay, so this is part of it. Is it a hard deadline? Well, we got to leave some time for Alan. We've had all year to work on this thing. We're trying to say, you know, if we don't draw a firm deadline, we will never finish this book because there'll always be somebody who cannot possibly make it. Alan's not here today, but I have no problem extending it if he can extend it. Art, do you feel like you need more time to finish up your work?
No, actually, I was kind of shrinking down my chapter because I kind of got bogged down in trying to have an exact solution, and that's not working. That it requires way too much time and thinking, and I'm just going to get things wrong anyway. So I'm going to have more like very general suggestions of what I think should be done. And whether someone agrees or disagrees how that's the way it should be done, I'm not going to worry about. But I'm kind of shrinking down the chapter, keeping it very concise. And I did do a rewrite the last time I touched it, but it's been a while. And I'm like, I'm really fuzzy on what's happened in the last few weeks.
Yeah. And by the way, I want to re-emphasize for everybody one more time. We expect to do new editions each year, right?
Okay.
We did one last year. It was very crude and it wasn't ready for public consumption. We're going to put one out there because we're getting better. It may still not be, let's say, academic quality.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not asking for that. And as time goes by, we'll tune up our arguments.
Okay.
So there will be more opportunities. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm an iterative person. I just kind of throw some out there and I iterate over and over again to improve on things. So that works for me, rather than trying to have the entire solution all at once. And those changes to the Google groups, remember all the book covers I did?
Yes.
Where is that in the old Google group or the share?
Yeah, I will help you find those. I know exactly what you're talking about because what happened is Alan Crowley has a drive for the authors, and that there may be some of that there. Please be understanding as we try to do all these transitions, because Alora is doing this great job of creating new spots for us to drop our stuff into that may not be completely coordinated with Alan's plan. So you have not lost your book covers, trust me. And there's no plan to right now to discard what we did in Discord. We just started a new Discord. So we'll find that. We'll make sure we still have not selected a book cover or a title even. That's something still to be discussed.
I have access to the share, the Google group share. Does that mean I'm in the group? Because I did see a message that my link was expired because I didn't accept it in time. So
yeah, and one thing that we could do is we can make sure to work this offline, because if you don't know, it is Thanksgiving in Canada and Alora is taking care of kids, and you know, this transition, we don't need to know today where everything is. If you don't mind, because there is a bit of chaos going on, but there's a good point to this. Alora, take care of your kids. Don't worry about us. We're fine. Okay. Okay.
So yeah, I got a 3-day weekend this week. So after I get my switch fixed, I'm gonna work on this tonight. And yeah, I'm gonna try and get it done before the 31st. I have surgery November 1st, so I'm gonna be out of commission for like 3 weeks.
Yikes! What are you doing?
I'm getting my nose fixed. I have a deviated septum.
Yep.
So I'm getting the septum repaired, and I'm getting the turbinates reduced, and I'm getting the nasal valves repaired for my ear. So that's gonna put me out of commission for like minimum 2 weeks.
What with this group and hospitals? Oh my God! Now you're the third one. Okay.
So
all right. Well,
yeah.
good luck, my friend. Good luck. Alora, you got your hand up. What's going on, Alora?
Let's hear about the fight you got in. How'd you get the deviated septum? No, I'm just kidding.
Boxing.
I just want to say, if you have any time in the next week and you just want to know like how to work the Google Drive or anything, just hit me up. Just send me a message in Discord or whatever. I can even just quickly jump on like a call with you and share screen or whatever and just walk you through it. So just let me know. I'm evenings I'm available. Yeah.
Just a quick status, Alora. Is everybody now on both Discords? Except for the few that we're calling? No. Okay. So is Art, do you think Art is only on the old Discord?
If I had my computer, I could figure it out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think I'm on a new Discord.
Good. Good. Okay. That's all I wanted to check on. I'll be quiet.
Okay. So yeah, as Mike said, I think this is the case by case. So Art will be reaching out to Laura. Thank you very much, Art. Anything else, Art, from your side in general? You're good?
That's all I had, really.
Okay. We wish you the best, Art. We'll keep in communication with you.
Okay.
Mike, any comments or any questions? Again, thank you for presenting today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I don't think so. I talked with Alan last week, and I don't know who brought it up, but they were talking about the formatting of the book, and we were batting around the idea of us making like internal comments on the other people's stuff. But anyway, something to think about, you know, like you know, yeah, I don't know, maybe, you know, whether we want that to be critical comments or not, I'm not sure, but that was something worth thinking about that he thought was interesting. I did too.
Okay, but, Mike.
Yeah, Mike. Yeah, I've got a couple comments, Mike. Ellen has the read and critique on every third Saturday. And when I explained that you and Maura were going to be presenting, because we have this deadline coming up, of course, we got to get the authors through. He was concerned because you guys had neither of you had done a read and critique in the authors group. Now we got one on the third Saturday if you're able to make it, and we can do that. I am perfectly okay with comments being put in by members on other people's writings prior to the final edits. Okay, so that's all good. Mike, I wanted to point out that everybody's able to add their own graphics. If you wanted any graphics, your graphics today were wonderful. I don't think you're going to need any help, but I want you to be sure to know that you can add any graphics or ask. We've got several people here who could create something if you need it. Okay, so that's it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Mike. Anything else, Mike, from your side? You're good?
No, everything's good. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Alora, any comments, any questions, anything else from your side before you go with your lovely family?
No, all good. Just thanks for having me here.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Any other comments, any questions?
Well, I think you're talking to Mike DeVerde now. See, there's two mics, and this is a common problem, Laura.
Yes,
So,
you because Mike already went. So yes.
Well, okay, you might start referring to me as the rocking chair, right? I've changed my title in this group. I'm no longer the chair. I'm now the rocking chair. Okay, I'm an old man. So anyway, no, I've talked way too much today already. Amazing discussion, in particular the one between Alora and Mike. I'm going to want the two of you to talk more. It seemed to me, Alora, you've said before that you're in the objectivist camp. I think this is when I was trying to talk you into writing a chapter and you were a little bit reluctant. So the discussion you two were having was very insightful, very interesting, very good. I really enjoyed today, everybody. Thank you for your time. Maura, back to you.
Okay, well, quickly from my side, Mike, I'm gonna need support with the graphics on mine. I went today and I look in Google what was in my mind, but at least I have kind of the shape of what it will be. So I definitely wanna need your support. Let's take a group photo as well. So everybody, smile for a group photo. Alora, are you there? Alora left.
Bad timing.
Okay, let me just say us. 1, 2, 3. Okay, great. And with that being said, I think we should be all good to go. So again, thank you for your participation. We're going to be editing the recording. We're going to be collecting the PowerPoints. Mike, if you can be so kind to upload in Google Drive so we can get that and put it all together. And with that being said, we will keep in touch in communication. If you need a one-on-one, Alora, or any other questions, we are here for you. We are the OmniFuturists.
Maura, Maura, will this recording end up on the YouTube channel?
Yes, Alora will edit and it will be there. We invite you to discover the YouTube channel as well. Okay? Super. Thank you so very much. Have a great rest of the weekend. All the best. Thank you.